Hello everyone, so I am just doing this quick video on Maddie McCann. There is a whole playlist for her, but this is actually a little bit different. Now on the 3rd of May 2024, it would have been the 17th anniversary of her disappearance. Poor Maddie. When people know exactly what's done to her, whether accident or not, what was initially done but thereafter was definitely very much kind of like, well, I'd leave you to check out the readings so that you can see. So I mentioned in a previous reading, I am not sure which reading because I tend to waffle as I get downloads. I mentioned as soon as that it comes towards another year, I'm sure that we will get some sprout of news coming up that is probably just anything for us to feed on, get excited, and you know why? So that they get another year of funding Operation Operation Range or Operation Grange. And the Met Police. So, you know, this is disclaimer for entertainment purposes only. No disrespect to Maddie. You've seen my playlist. This is also one of those videos that, or topics that are not necessarily supported by the platform. And I probably understand why, because you're not allowed to approach the parents to question or anything like that. So let's just ask this question. I know that last year, what was it? They had a German suspect who obviously is a bit of a maniac and an SA, but somehow they decided that there could be proof that he is the person who is involved in Maddie. Since then, though the Germans seem to have been excited and that they were withholding information, we didn't hear anything. So I wonder, in the last 3 months, did we hear anything? Yes, something came up in the newspaper, some sort of thing. I can't remember what it was. I didn't really pay attention, but a headline came forward. And one of my clients said, have you seen this headline? And I mentioned no, because I don't believe it and I'm not going to read it. Or read into it basically, but it's always good for me to be informed, and then that's the sort of things we also discuss on Patreon. So we did discuss this at the beginning of May on Patreon, and also I'm going to ask now, so has the British Foreign Office via the taxpayers of the UK gone and funded for another year Operation Grange or this case? What is bizarre about this case? This is a case that never even happened in the UK. It's a case that Portugal were looking into, and yes, maybe it wasn't handled in the best way, but they have a different view in terms of what the UK think of it, or how the UK Operation Grange are looking into it. Operation Grange are looking into it as an abduction. Yet Germany, who now have this person who's already in prison, are probably saying it's a homicide. And obviously Portugal have their own view, and they don't believe it's an abduction. They believe that key guardians know what happened and that she is no longer living. So what are we funding exactly in the UK? We're funding something that didn't happen in the country. We're funding something that is an abduction. We're not allowed to talk to people that were at the tapas 7. You're not allowed to approach the parents. And it was taken over from Portugal because requested more or less something around that from the parents and the politicians. It was a world famous, most famous missing persons case. And where have we got? Does that make sense to you? I just wonder. In the UK, there's crisis, there's homelessness, there's people that, you know, were struggling to find food. Thank God it's not winter, so the warmth and the bills. And yet the UK are dishing out millions. So if this now says that yes, this would be around 14 million only, okay? This is obviously beyond that amount. that may around that amount, but there's beyond that that has been dedicated or given towards this case. This is solely from the British Foreign Office, I believe, that fund it to Operation Grange, and obviously all other funding that would have been raised in various ways is separate to that. And we're looking at an abduction case that is not even an abduction. If it is an abduction, which we, you know from my readings, is not, it's not even in Portugal, it's not even in the UK, it's in Portugal. Yet also Germany seem to think they have the right person in prison, in jail. And we've not heard of any substantial proof apparently that they had that he is a year later. A bit like the John Bonet Ramsey case, although I don't think it's funded every year from taxpayers. Every now and then a little niggle in terms of what's coming up and DNA and getting people excited for resolution, when it's quite obvious that there's certain people that can really give the facts. So let's have a look. Have they, and I can't remember what reading I mentioned it in. I said I bet by the time it comes closer to the year and they need the funding, little trickles come out in the news. Obviously we can see whether that's substantial or not substantial. Let's have a look at this. 3 cards only, okay? Let me just do it like this, because people tend to say I can see the card and selecting the card, when obviously I can't see the card and selecting the card. You can see it. I close my eyes often when I'm shuffling as I'm tapping into energy. Now we've got this card and I'm in 2 folds of energy, whether to take it or not. I'm going to put it down. Actually, I'm going to put it back. Now, if it was funded for another year, it's around 200 grand that it gets funded. We're talking about 198 or 92,000, I believe, that would have been funded. Nearly 200 grand or just under this year. Yes, exactly. What I was looking for is the, look at this, but I knew from this card. Funding to shine a light, but there's no light shining. There's nothing to celebrate, and it's supposed to be a funding of a partnership to get on and do the work, celebrate, bring everyone together so that there is an outcome that shines the light. It is not. But is there a yes? There's a yes, and there's a yes here. For me, this has been funded this year. I've been told to look at the bottom of the deck. King of the Swords is the government, is the official departments, is the civil work. Again, a confirmation they are involved in the funding. Again, set up. Oh, look at this amount of Kings of Cups. Again, is this, how do we say that? Is it... Polar continuations that are, you know, also advocating for this to make sure that this gets through. Yet honestly, you know, this is your sign as public society. Don't get excited. There is nothing substantial to celebrate for the breakthrough. A lot of it is just a lot around ego and just to get the finances, honestly. And again, we see the energy of those that I mentioned are really at the backup of this. Poor Maddie, you know, what else can we ask? This is really what I wanted to cover. I think it's crazy. I know that there's a lot of people that are going on about the royals, you know, and the amount of money they have. But when you look at millions thrown in this way, until when is that going to be thrown? I just wonder, because this is a case that unless it is investigated and looked into and people are allowed to be approached, it's just going to get, when is somebody going to call the shots to stop the funding? Let's have a look. I want 3 cards again, just 3 cards, and then I'll elaborate. Will the funding ever stop? Will someone within the next 10 years, let's say 10 years, stop this funding? It's not likely to. I don't have my major arcana card that I wanted. Again, this is it's keeping a blindfold on, pretending you're not seeing, yet slowly taking little action, giving little niggles along the way. So so far this looks like there's no one that's going to book up courage from these people to say, or the people of power to say, we need to stop this funding right now. Unless, of course, during this time, the breakthrough of the case has occurred. And I was hoping that this will happen via one of the two children who goes to see maybe someone who puts them under hypnotherapy, taps into not necessarily Akashic records, but brings back memories that then they speak upon, because there was definitely one of the children very close to Maddie. But yeah, it doesn't look, so far as the energy stands, nobody's going to stand up to try and stop this. It's turning a blind eye. It's providing some online communication, being at the defense of who needs to be looked at, and every now and then giving, interestingly, I put it under where people are celebrating at the little niggles, giving the little niggles. Split the deck and we get again the Five of Swords. Again, very much a bit of ego, a justice of balance. Like I said, an outcome needs to come in, which I bet you the next card shows the change. What did I say? The Wheel of Fortune. It will show the change if justice is brought in. If the breakthrough of the case, that will show the change that comes in and needed. And then it can all obviously be put towards rest. But at the moment, that is not happening. Split the deck again. The breakthrough of communication is what's occurring, and patience is needed. So maybe there is going to be some vision. There's going to be some what I see with these cards. I'm getting additional message here is that there will be a change in the wheel. And I think it's about not turning a blind eye, exactly, not turning a blind eye, which causes more heartbreak, obviously, towards Maddie, who needs to rest and her voice needs to be spoken. She's very passive in terms of being channeled through. Maybe she doesn't want, you know, the spotlight to be on the people that needs the spotlight. So, but if the basically there will be a breakthrough of communication, it's saying to be a little bit more patient. There will be a breakthrough which then can turn it around to help the heartbreak that's happened here. Split the deck and shine a bit more light on that. And it could actually come through from a feminine energy as well. Let me just shuffle on that for a moment. It's also the universe helps deliver something here. Remember, I was getting the magician card in terms of the oh look, we've got the younger energy. So one of the kids has all the resources to amend this heartbreak. What I mean by that, probably tapping into what I was saying, seeing someone who can help them recall things that as a child you won't remember, but then when you're working in hypnosis or certain trance states, it does come forward and signs will come in to help with this. This could be, you know, one of the children as they get older, as they've moved from their home, but it definitely is an energy that has all the resources, although I don't think they do know. This is interesting, this tattoo here. It's kind of like the Two of Swords, not wanting to see clearly, but then there's a sword that breaks that, which is really what we want, is this sword to come down, for a little bit of ego to be brought to be to basically remove this wanting to be blinded. All right, so that's what will actually break it through. I think it was Maddie's where I said we will find, and I'm being brought back to this, a red thread that might be a key that is found that was actually on her. If you remember that, I mentioned it in one of the readings. There's about, I don't know how many parts, but I mentioned a red thread, and it's interesting. I wanted to clarify with these cards. Spirit told me to go to another deck, and the cards that have come up have significant red threads showing here that there is a breakthrough if that red thread can be found as well. So I just wanted to say that I wish we can get a resolution on this case. Maddie needs to fully rest in peace, yeah, let's see, maybe I do a further reading on her, but there's been no development, and everything we hear so far I just felt was just, there's no substance to it. So take care everyone, stay blessed, and I shall see you in the next reading. Bye for now.